Welcome back, guys. What I'm talking about today, to some people, is sacrilege. I'm going to be talking about a big fish, and you're not supposed to talk about them. Sometimes people are afraid of the big fish, but today, that big fish that I'm going to be talking about, and this is a big criticism, but I'm going to be talking about Dave and Adam's Card World. People might know about Dave and Adam's. They're one of the biggest card shops in the country. I don't know, they might even be the biggest. And they're one of the biggest online sellers of sports cards as well. And I've been there a few times, quite a few times. They got everything in there. Hobby, retail now, everything from sports trading cards to trading card games like Pokemon. Now, Pokemon isn't my realm, but I'm going to be using the most recent release in this video as an example of Prismatic Evolutions, because it was a monster release, and I seen lines out again. Like, I haven't seen lines really since probably 2021, but throughout 2020 and the end of 2019, there was, people were lining up for sports cards, and I'll touch on that a couple times in the video as well. But Dave and Adam's, back then when we were doing sports cards, was a big topic. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is, people always, we in sports cards sometimes, and there's people that are going to hate this video, but there's going to be a larger majority of people that understand where I'm coming from and can relate and enjoy the video. So this video is for you guys. But, people in this hobby, we complain, especially when it's hard to get cards. It hasn't been as hard recently, not even close to 5 years, 4.5 years ago. But scalpers, the people that were scooping up all the products off the shelf, and yes, they were out there. Sometimes they were the vendors and you couldn't even get cards, and I heard the frustration from many people over the years. And we even had that problem out here, and they busted some people. We had a vendor that was taking cards for over a year, all the best stuff. Other people dealt with it. I know people reached out to me about it, but so here's, I'm going to tell it kind of like a story. Prismatic Evolutions dropped. Some of you guys might know Dave and Adam's did a big event. I think it was on release day, and they were selling Prismatic Evolutions. I'm not sure what those flat boxes they were selling for. I didn't go to the event. My brother actually did, and some of his friends, but I know that they were selling the Elite Trainer boxes for $120. Now, I guess it's their preference. They can sell it for what they want. But this is where things get real dirty and grimy. And DNA, Dave and Adam's Card World, they take advantage of people. They're scalpers. They're money men. And this is proof. And I don't really like it. I don't even think this is a good business practice. It's not good look. But they probably think it flies under the radar. But us sports cards people, especially ones that have been doing it for years, some of us are really observant. We listen, we see things, and so I'll just tell this like a story. The other day I went to Target, guys had lined up, the vendor was there, and yeah, lines again, that's crazy. But they lined up, there's probably 10 people there, and I seen a guy and I recognized him and I couldn't put my finger on it first. But then I overheard him speaking, and then I realized it clicked where I seen him. He was a worker that worked in the trading card section, the trading card game section at Dave and Adam's. Why was he there, you ask? Well, I overheard him speaking to his buddy, and his buddy and him, they were talking to some of the guys there, one of the other guys, and they were talking about how they were going from Target to Target and Walmart's to buy up as much Prismatic Evolutions as they could, specifically the Elite Trainer boxes. And I know for a fact, because they were kind of bragging about it, the one guy actually was showing pictures on his phone. I can't remember how many boxes. He said he got 5 or 6. And the Dave and Adam's guy had scored at a couple Targets, I think, with the other guy. They might have been together, honestly. So that day they didn't hand out at this specific Target the Prismatic Evolutions. We came back on Thursday, and in the morning they had them, but they were limiting them to 2 per person. And of course the Dave and Adam's guy was there lined up, maybe, I don't know exactly how long before, because I wasn't there, but he could have been there an hour before. And yeah, he was one of the guys that got the 2 boxes. Luckily, my Target did limit them to 2 boxes. So there's 4 or 5 guys, but his buddy got 2 boxes as well. Then later that day, I guess Walmart restocked, and my brother said somebody grabbed an entire stack. By the time he got there was only 1 trainer box. I don't know if that was the Dave and Adams guy, but what I will say is the Dave and Adams guy, we overheard him talking, and he said his boss was sending him out to get as much Prismatic Evolutions as he could. I think he might have said something about he was getting a bonus and everything. You know, they're getting the boxes for $55, $60, and then they're reselling them for $120 a piece. But I mean, they're trying to corner the market. They're trying to scoop everything up off all the shelves locally in Western New York, Buffalo area. So you have to, then you hear about their big release, and then people go there, they're excited, but they got to pay $120 for the box, and they get taken advantage of. That's scalping. It's like the guys who buy up the tickets and sell them in the parking lots for double the money. And this is a big card shop. You know, they make tons of money, and they're still petty enough to send guys out and scalp. The way they used to do it as well is not just probably have their employees do it, because back in 2020, maybe late 2019, then the other thing that they would do is they would offer like a premium. So I can't tell you the exact price, but let's just say, because the blasters were $20 back then. So let's just say somebody got a select blaster, $20. Luckily, they put a lot of places were putting limits back then, but let's just say that somebody ended up scooping 10 of them from somewhere. $20 a blaster, but then Dave and Adams, maybe they were offering, you know, 40 or 50 a blaster to buy off the person, and then they'd sell them on the shelf for 80. You know, that's what they were doing back then. Now, my pricing might not be exactly on, but it was like that. It was astronomical prices and stuff. So, I mean, they were just as bad as the actual, you know, guys that were just scalping for eBay or Marketplace, or, you know, some of these guys that were scalping for breaks. Dave and Adams, they were just as bad, and now they're still doing it. They did it for Prismatic Evolutions. So I just wanted to call it out. I wanted to bring attention to it, because a lot of people don't want to talk about them, because they're, like I said, they're the big fish. Like it's sacrilege or something. But it's not defamation, because it's true. And there's probably hundreds of people just in Western New York alone that will tell you this, because they've been irritated by it for years. You know, I'm sure they might have even had vendors on the payroll, because I actually heard vendors talking about it. Not that they were doing it, but they had knowledge that Dave and Adams would buy boxes. But yeah, so Dave and Adams was out in full force for the Prismatic Evolutions drop of Pokemon, and they were reselling it astronomical prices. They were scooping it all off the shelves, trying to corner the market. I think that's pretty poor business practice. I hate seeing in my messages, I hear from you guys that smaller card shops locally do the same thing with you guys. And yeah, I know. It's tough. It sucks. At the end of the day, us collectors that just enjoy collecting, opening cards, these type of things are just kind of thorns in the side of the hobby. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. That's about it. I just kind of wanted to talk about that specific situation, because it was irritating. It was kind of irritating. I wanted to just talk about it and share it with you guys. Maybe Dan the Card Man will hear about this one. Maybe he'll say something about it. A lot bigger channel than mine, but maybe not. I just think things like this should be exposed sometimes. All right, Doc Holliday, I'm out.